If you are the owner of a property and you have sold the property, and the man who bought needed to do the needful and he has not done it, how does that affect the man who has sold? The property is no longer Orubebe's property. So how do you expect Orubebe to declare property that does not belong to him? Now this tribunal has said, oh, the fact that the man who bought it did not do the needful, Orubebe must suffer for it. I don't think that is the contemplation of our law.
The Senate has launched an investigation into the utilization of funds allocated to the Presidential Initiative on the Northeast to provide amenities for internally displaced persons. The lawmakers are concerned that funds for the initiative may have been diverted.
Through no fault of theirs, these men, women and children have been made to flee their homes because of the Boko Haram insurgency and are now living in internally displaced persons camps scattered across the northern part of the country. It's bad enough that these Nigerians have lost their loved ones and all their property. They are also contending with horrific living conditions in these IDP camps, where hygiene, health care, a decent meal are luxuries and almost unattainable.
You may wish to invite the flag.
Federal lawmakers are worried that the funds appropriated to making life bearable for these Nigerians are barely scratching the surface. They are also concerned that the Presidential Initiative on the Northeast is channeling the funds appropriated for IDPs into other areas.
There is actually a robust provision on the ground in order to tackle the provision even under Presidential Initiative on Northeast. But where we are, the Presidential Initiative on Northeast, instead of carrying its own statutory functions as enshrined by the policy document setting it up, they are busy dishing out contracts to friends, relations, and what have you.
I want to add that not only should this ad hoc committee investigate the utilization of these funds, they should go further to identify the directors of these companies that handle these contracts. We should identify them and appropriate sanctions should be meted on them as individuals.
225 million was disbursed for provision of temporary shelter to IDP. Myself and the Deputy Senate President visited this camp. What we saw cannot even go for maybe 4 million.
The Senate set up an ad hoc committee to ascertain how much has been released to the Presidential Initiative on the Northeast and how these funds have been utilized from inception till date. The committee is also to investigate the diversion of grains and other food items from the strategic grains reserves and other sources for the IDPs. Linda Akibi, Channels Television News.
The judiciary and the financial sector can collaborate to resolve some of the nation's economic challenges, and that's according to the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Mr. Mahmood Mohammed. Speaking at a forum for judges organized by the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation in Abuja, Justice Mohammed announced plans to develop a multi-track justice delivery system that embraces alternative dispute resolution.
High Court judges across the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. They have gathered for this year's edition of the Judges Sensitization Seminar organized by the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation.
To welcome you all to this seminar.
This gathering is organized to create a synergy between the judicial officers and the financial sector, especially in the light of the nation's economic recession.
As Nigeria is making resolute efforts to struggle its way out of economic recession, we must all avail ourselves the opportunities to learn the pertinent lessons from this unpleasant experience and to forestall its reoccurrence in the future. The key, therefore, is constant enlightenment on important issues and that relate to the Nigerian banking system and our economy as a whole.
The corporations consider this a very valuable contribution to the development of the Nigerian financial system, especially in times such as this, when we are collectively making efforts to bring about measures to overcome the recent economic recession.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria believes that the judiciary can step up its processes by collaborating with the financial sector in the light of the economic recession.
The myriad of economic challenges facing the nation, no doubt, call for greater collaboration between the justice and finance sector. The judiciary, as an arbiter and symbol of justice, must not only remain blind to status, personality, and origin, but must dispense justice in a manner that is fair, transparent, and expeditious.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria believes one way of delivering speedy and amicable justice is the alternative dispute resolution, and he hopes that the banking sector will embrace this for an efficient and effective collaboration with the judiciary.
Thank you, my Lord, the Administrator of the National Judiciary.
There's a new law center for the Nigerian Bar Association, and it's been commissioned in Port Harcourt, the River State capital in Nigeria's south-south region. The River State government is optimistic that the new facility will support the judiciary's efforts in its interpretation of the nation's laws.
Grateful for the MBA Port Harcourt House.
7 months after the foundation stone was laid, lawyers and judges are here again for the commissioning of the now completed project.
This official handover ceremony.
The Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice kicks off the event with remarks that reflect the feelings of the learned professionals at this event.
It is incumbent on me to thank His Excellency for delivering on his promise made on the 29th day of February 2016.
The Chief Judge of Rivers State believes that the new building provides a more conducive atmosphere for lawyers to work.
No doubt this edifice will aid and enhance the activities of the Nigerian Bar Association Port Harcourt and even other local branches.
The governor of the state, Nyesom Wike, states that relocating the center from the premises of the High Court was expedient to preserve the functionality of the bar in the state.
Over time, the site of the center has become unsuitable as a one-stop shop for the association, given the exponential growth of the Port Harcourt Bar. 2, for the previous location where access to the center was subject to the control and convenience of the state's chief judge or the governor, thereby undermining its functionality.
He urges lawyers to uphold justice for the rich and poor alike.
One way you can support us to achieve this goal is for the MBA to extend their professional services to the indigent in our communities.
The president of the NBA is delighted to be performing this role just a few weeks after his assumption of office.
This is the most pleasant event that I will be participating in as the president of the Bar Association since I assumed office.
He then proceeds to cut the tape, signifying the official commissioning of the building. An inspection of the edifice follows. Housed in the 3-story building are a 1,200 capacity auditorium, offices and other facilities. Mary Alale Yusuf, Channels Television News.
The newly inaugurated Electoral Reforms Committee is not an imitation of the Justice Muhammad Uwais Committee, but an improvement on it. Well, that's according to the head of the committee, Senator Ken Nnamani. He made this known today while briefing journalists in Abuja, and he affirms the President's resolve to reform the nation's electoral system and end cases of rigging and violence. The committee has been given 10 weeks to submit its report.
I believe that Justice Uwais carried out a very important exercise and did a fantastic work. But I'm not too sure whether the political will to implement his suggestions can be attested. But this time around, I personally have confidence in Mr. President, his ability, his political will, his audacity to implement what will make Nigerians proud of our electoral system. Regardless of how excellent Justice Uwais' report must have been, nothing is so good that you cannot improve on it. I think that's the essence of setting up another committee. Not exactly to copy what the other committee did, but to improve on it and fine-tune it. Since 2008, lots of changes must have taken place both in our political system and in our country. And as the Honorable Attorney General said, we're expected to take a hard look at what we consider the best practices. Most politicians will know at what point election is rigged. You should know that. Is it at the point of the voting, or collection, or movement of paper, ballot boxes, and so on? You should know that, and we expect that people will make suggestions on how to cut down on irregularities.
Head of the Electoral Reforms Committee, Senator Ken Nnamani. In part 2, after the break, EFCC takes anti-corruption campaign to Nigerian youth with the advice to emulate honest and hard-working citizens who've attained success. That's in a moment. Just stay with us.